Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today's video is all about my perfume acquisitions, the fragrance that has come into my life during 2024. So I've got 6 months of fragrances to talk through in this video. I'm just going to let you know whether these are true perfume loves, whether there's anything that I regret, whether there's anything that might be on the chopping block for a declutter. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire Smith. I make videos all about perfume, perfume science, perfume history, perfume psychology. I also just do some straight perfume reviews and also fun perfume tags. So if you are interested and you aren't already subscribed, then please do consider subscribing, and also please press the like button if you do enjoy this kind of video. So if you are here week after week and if you're commenting on my videos and liking them, then thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I don't say that enough. But I am just really grateful to have a chat with seemingly very similar names every single week. And I love that people from all over the world watch me. I think that's lovely. So thank you so much. So this video is effectively a collective haul video, but I can't say that I've bought all of these because some of them have come into my life by other means, such as Instagram giveaways, gifts from individuals. Also, a brand has sent me some PR, and yes, I mean, I have bought some of these fragrances. I don't think I've bought that much, actually. I'm quite proud of myself. I've been very restrained. I have also been really busy at work, actually. So anyway, let's get on with this. So I'm just going to take you through these one by one. I'm going to go in chronological order of the time that I bought them, and I'm just going to say whether I'm sort of enjoying them or whether they might be on the chopping block. So the first fragrance actually came into my life back in 2023. This one actually just missed the deadline for my last haul video that I filmed in the middle of December. I think this one came into my life around the 23rd of December last year. I actually won this one in an Instagram giveaway, and the giveaway was run by Karen Timson, who's a perfumer, and she said that I could choose any of the fragrances from her brand. So I was looking at one called Rosa de Rio, but in the end I chose Moon Palace because my friend had tried this one and said how nice it was. So I felt very reassured trying this one. So this is a really tropical feeling fragrance, and it always makes me think of being in a greenhouse, a really humid greenhouse with all the florals in full bloom and almost fading a little bit. That's really how this smells. But it also does have just this kind of creaminess to it as well. This fragrance is really a very intense, petally, banana-y, tropical floral fragrance. And it's something that also has a slight greenness to it as well. This fragrance is really, really strong. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's something that is actually really long lasting. I have worn this a little bit. I mean, I've got a little dent there, not very much. I haven't worn it loads, but I am going to be wearing this one a lot more in the summer, I think. I think this is more of a summer fragrance than a winter fragrance. This one just makes me think of banana skins in a way. It does have that kind of banana skin kind of smell to it, but also with some other florals. So yeah, Moon Palace by Karen Timson. So the next fragrance is one that had been doing the rounds on YouTube about 18 months before I bought it. It was literally everywhere, and I was so curious about how it smelled. And I ended up buying a second-hand bottle just to smell it because I couldn't find samples anywhere. And I just was so curious about it. So this one's Green Lover by Lolita Lempicka. So this is, I think, technically marketed to men, this fragrance. But I think it's been really popular with female reviewers. So this fragrance, it was kind of sold to me as a minty vanilla fragrance, and the bottle kind of suggests a minty vanilla, doesn't it? It looks like that kind of colour. It's this really pretty green colour. But to me, the perception I had in my head does not mirror how this smells. So my perception of people's reviews of this fragrance was something quite fresh, something quite a fresh mint, but also with a vanilla. This fragrance is definitely not that. So really it opens, with a tiny bit of mint, but really the biggest smell is the vanilla. The vanilla here is like a vanilla sponge kind of vanilla. It's quite dense and it's quite cakey almost. But as this dries down very, very quickly, the orange comes in and it really amps up very, very quickly, the orange. It becomes much warmer. Any freshness that was in this fragrance at the beginning, to be honest, there wasn't much. It's really not a fresh fragrance at all. Any that there was is gone, and it becomes much more powdery fragrance almost. Really, I think after the first few seconds, I would describe this fragrance very much as something that smells like a Tic Tac. And I used to eat those when I was little. I used to have those on Saturday mornings when I go see my nan. They're a very nostalgic smell, but I'm not sure that I want to smell like orange and mint Tic Tacs. So this fragrance, it also makes me think of the outer coating of sugared almonds, but mixed with a candied, sugary orange smell. So this fragrance was actually quite strong the few times that I've worn this, and I'm just not really sure this one's for me. I can see why people might really enjoy this one because it is weird, it does stand out, it is different. It's something I haven't smelled elsewhere, but I'm just not sure I want to smell of Tic Tacs. So that one's on the chopping block. That's Green Lover by Lolita Lempicka. So the next fragrance is one that I got in a swap with my friend Emily. You may have heard me talk about Emily before. I'm going to link her Instagram page down below in the description box in case you do want to go check her out. So Emily was doing a declutter in January and she was decluttering this one, which is Dandy or Not GA by Dulci Fragrances. I also did a declutter in January. I decluttered Lemon Dulce by Chopard and we just did a swap basically. I think Emily's now finished Lemon Dulce by Chopard, so I'm really pleased about that because, you know, fragrance is there to be enjoyed, isn't it? And that fragrance has been enjoyed to the max, you know, that's great. So this one is just not my scent profile, but I really, really love it. So this is a woody tea fragrance. It's a light, warm, woody, slightly citrusy tea fragrance with some leather in the background. I think really in the dry down it's more of like a spicy cedary tea with a very gentle citrus and brown leather, a soft brown leather in the background. It's very relaxed in feel, this fragrance, and it's very neutral in feel. I feel like this one is something that is great for work because this kind of fragrance is very calming to me. When I first spray this, it is quite loud, but it does calm down quite quickly on me. And I don't overspray this because of that loudness at the beginning. It could be just too much, but I just really like this one. And I think it would be fitting in the same scent category for me as something like SJP Stash. It's just got that kind of woody feeling that Stash has got, but it's obviously not as creamy as that. It's clearly slightly different notes to Stash. But it's that genre and it's that kind of area in my perfume wearing, that kind of occasion when I would wear Stash, I would wear this one. So yeah, this is going nowhere. Dandy or Not GA by Dulci Fragrances. I'm really enjoying it. So the next fragrance is one that I bought after filming a Loved and Lost video at the end of January. And this fragrance, I was really after the intense version, which is in a black bottle, but I couldn't find that. So I ended up buying just the standard EDP. And this one's Ralph Lauren Woman. So this fragrance attracted me because people were describing the nuttiness of it and also it's a fruity tuberose. So this is really a sparkly fruity tuberose to me. It's got pear, it's got blackcurrant and it's also got rhubarb. You really get quite a bit of tartness from the rhubarb. The bit I really love about this is really the very, very beginning of this, which is really pure hazelnut. It's not like a Nutella kind of hazelnut. It's literally like pure nutty hazelnut. And that bit is absolutely stunning, but sadly short-lived. As this dries down, it sort of becomes quite tart, really, with the rhubarb, and it just becomes quite musky too, but it also is a little bit creamy because of the sandalwood. I think this one, it's not really keeping my attention at the moment. I've sort of stopped wearing it, and I need to go back to wearing it because I need to suss out whether I want to keep this or not. I think this one is something that I wore quite a bit when I first got it, but it's kind of got to the point where I'm no longer wearing this now and I need to work out whether I'm going to keep it. I do absolutely love the bottle. I love this opening of this lid. You know, it's something I can't ever lose, isn't it? Which is fab. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to keep this one. So that's Ralph Lauren Woman. So the next fragrance is one that I ended up blind buying because I couldn't find a sample of it and I'd heard Chantal Tiffany talking about it a few years back. And it just sounded like something I'd really enjoy. So this one is Boucheron's Place Vendôme. So this is a honeyed white floral fragrance and it's got a bit of a citrusy feel to it as well. So actually, I say honey, but it's more of like the honey's been dropped in some boiled water. It's a very dilute honey, or maybe it's more like the nectar is just part of the flowers, really. It's just a sweetness generally. I think there are other sweet notes in this fragrance which probably give it that more of that sort of less dense honey feel, really. This one, actually, when I first got it, really reminded me of Jimmy Choo's Illicit, and actually Perfumes make Boucheron fragrances and also make Jimmy Choo fragrances, so that would entirely make sense, wouldn't it, if they'd sort of done an inspired by version, if they're the same company. So this one, I like the opening, but I'm not so sure about the dry down. The dry down is quite soapy. There's quite a dense musk here, and it's quite a textured musk. And it's also a white musk, really. I think this fragrance always makes me think of shampoo, actually, in the dry down. I think if you're looking for a very office-friendly, very crowd-pleasing fragrance, you can't go far wrong with this one. I think this fragrance might also be on my chopping block. This is one that I really loved when I first got it, and I wore it a few times, and I just really enjoyed it. And then more recently I've worn it again and I've not enjoyed it quite so much. Maybe it's the change of season, I'm not so sure, but I'm going to wear it a few more times and just see exactly what I think about it. So this one is Boucheron's Plus Vendôme. So the next fragrance is one that I bought after getting a sample from Lizzie at Rose & Jones, and she absolutely loves the Christian Dior Privé line. She used to have loads of their line. I'm not quite sure how many she has right now, but she sent me a sample of this one and I really liked it. I thought it was a really nice light sparkly rose. But when I bought a bottle of this, I failed to check which formulation Lizzie had and which formulation this bottle was. So I got this second hand and I've got the wrong formulation. So this fragrance is actually the earlier formulation. I think Lizzie's is the more recent post 2018 formulation. This one definitely smells less fruity. I mean, it could just be a variation in the naturals that they use. The fragrances do smell differently from different years. I have tried, for example, different Gris Diors and they smelled completely different to me. One was far more rosy. Anyway, so I think, it could be either of those things, but I think this is probably because it's the older formulation. So actually, I do still like this, and I really bought this as a kind of replacement for Holy Peony. I tried Holy Peony last year, and I just hadn't got along with it. That's also a rose fragrance, but obviously also with peony. And it also just had quite a greenness to it, that fragrance. And I just didn't particularly love it. And I ended up decluttering it in January. So this one is a light, sparkly rose fragrance, but it makes me think of a red rose rather than a pink rose. And it's also got a muskiness in the dry down, a bit of woody patchouli. But really this makes me think a lot of the light, kind of sparkly, older Miss Dior flankers, so things like Rose and Roses, those kinds of fragrances. So this one I've worn a bit in the spring. I think I'll continue to wear it in the summer. I think I'm going to look again at the other rose fragrances in this collection, perhaps go in store and try a few more, see what I think, and then I might purchase a different one. I'm not sure. This might eventually get decluttered, but for the moment it's staying. I think this one is quite safe in my collection for now. So that's La Colle Noire by Christian Dior. So the next fragrance is called Imperial Emerald, and that's by Merchant of Venice, and I've just got this travel spray. So this one I bought after seeing somebody talk about it on YouTube. I honestly don't remember who it was that I saw talking about it, but they clearly engaged me enough to make me want to go and try it in store. So I went off to Harvey Nichols in Leeds and I couldn't find a tester. And I asked the lady in there and she said, oh yeah, we keep the tester in a cupboard. And I thought that's a bit weird. But anyway, she let me spray it. And, she also let me spray the hair perfume as well and various other things. And I asked her why she kept it in the cupboard. And she said, oh, it's because the testers are very expensive. And if we leave them out, they get broken. Apparently the bottles are quite unstable and they're very easy to knock off the shelf, apparently. She said it happens a lot. So that's why they keep it in the cupboard. Anyway, so I tried it and I really enjoyed it. And I was thinking about it and I was looking online trying to find a small travel spray like this one. And I couldn't find one. And then I was looking in another store when I was somewhere else and I saw it again and the bottle was just out. So I tried it again just to make sure that I loved it. And this time I absolutely hated it. It smelled like laundry detergent. It smelled like just like maybe even a softener, a laundry softener. And I thought, this is weird. And then I went away and I was reading on Fragrantica that apparently there's been a really dramatic reformulation of this fragrance. And there were loads of people complaining about it there. So I thought, right, that's it. So I kept my eye out and eventually I found an older formulation in a travel spray on eBay. So I got it. And actually, this one smells like the original sample that I got out of the cupboard from that woman. And I guess if she's keeping them in cupboards, then they're probably hanging around a little bit longer, aren't they? So that's probably what I smelt in the first place. So yeah, this travel spray, it wasn't that expensive because I think the full bottles of these, the 100ml bottles, are something like £288. I'm never going to spend £288 on a fragrance. I think if you like a fragrance that's really expensive, look for a travel spray if you can, if they do travel sprays. Don't give up. Don't think you can't afford a fragrance because, you might get lucky secondhand. That's really the way to find something that you love at a much cheaper price. So I think in the end I got this 10ml travel spray for something like £15. So, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that you shouldn't give up. So this fragrance, I find it really hard to describe. I think I'd best describe it as a very elegant tuberose fragrance. It's kind of a lightly spiced tuberose fragrance. So here there's some lily, and I think that might be what's giving it the slight spiciness, because it really just is a white floral fragrance overall. There's also some patchouli, very noticeably, especially in the beginning of the fragrance. It's more of a woody patchouli than anything else. And really, as this dries down, it turns into the sort of a spicy, musky tuberose fragrance, but it's not really along the lines of like Givenchy Lentidi or anything like that. It's really very much its own fragrance. And I think really what makes it its own fragrance, and this is really unusual for me, because normally when I smell this note, it's a total turn off for me. But I can smell ambroxan here, and in this fragrance, it just seems to work. I think the ambroxan really gives it quite a lot of oomph, and it's something that can last on my skin the whole day, and it really is quite a strong one, this. It's not something I'd ever spray more than one spray of, because I think it could be really overwhelming if you ever sprayed this. It really makes me think of people dressed up at weddings, actually, this fragrance. It just is that kind of very elevated, dressed up feel. This fragrance is one of those that when I wear it to work, I just think, why am I doing this? It just doesn't feel quite right. It feels like I need a special occasion for this. And I think I really would like some more special occasions in my life to wear this fragrance and feel more appropriate. But I do really enjoy wearing this one to work, and it's something that I have had a compliment on as well. So yeah, that's Imperial Emerald by Merchant of Venice. So the next fragrance is one that I received for my birthday, and this one was a gift from John at Scented Snowdrops here on YouTube. If you haven't checked out John's channel, please do go check him out. He has taught me more about fragrance than I think anybody else on YouTube. I find him very knowledgeable. He's always trying new brands, and he walks through these forests and takes you on a journey with him. He scents TV series. He's just so into fragrance, and I think that's just so lovely. And he's got such a following on Instagram. He's got 12,000 followers now on Instagram. He's big on Instagram. So yeah, do go check out John, especially on Instagram. But yeah, this fragrance that he gave me is called Pitching Woo, and it's by One Way Bridge. And I think he felt like he wanted a bigger bottle, and so he bought a bigger bottle, and then he gave me his travel spray, which I still am amazed that he's actually given me this, because I know how much he loves this fragrance. And they don't make it anymore. This is a very small batch perfumery, One Way Bridge. And once it's gone, it's gone. And this one is gone. So this fragrance, I'm really surprised I like, because it's smooth and peachy to begin with. And that's not normally something that I really like in fragrance peach. But here it's just so beautifully done. And it's also got some greenery with it. So the greenery is something herbal. It's almost minty actually in the beginning, but there's also a lot of sweetness. It's almost like there's some toffee in here or something like that. There's some kind of sweet gourmand note. I don't think this fragrance actually has mint, but it's something along the lines of mint. Elise, the perfumer, uses things that are very typical of the surroundings of New Zealand. So literally it could be anything. It could be something that I've not smelled before, but there's definitely something along the lines of mint that's, herbal, green, not bitter, but sort of something a little bit foresty in this. This stays a little bit herbal for quite some time, but really as this dries down, it becomes more vanillic, and eventually it turns really quite creamy. It smells almost like an ice cream, and a sort of slightly melted ice cream. I think because of that sort of slight mintiness and that herbal feel, I think that really gives it a coolness, and that's what makes me think of ice cream with the creaminess. It's perhaps even a little bit sugary, it's still creamy, and it's also got almost a fizziness to it. I find this fragrance really delicious and distinctive. It's not like anything else I've ever smelt. And I'm still very overwhelmed that John has gifted this one to me, because I think as neutral as he tries to stay with independent perfumeries, I think One Way Bridge is really truly one of his favourites. I haven't actually tried many of their other fragrances, but I think from the ones that are still in production that I have tried, I would thoroughly recommend trying Date with a Dame. I really like that one as well. So yeah, this one I'm very pleased to have. And it is just a very summery fragrance actually. I think, spring, summer is probably the time for this one to shine. So that's Pitching Woo by One Way Bridge. So the next fragrance is actually another one that John gave me for my birthday, and this fragrance is an inspired by version of Creed's Virgin Island Water. So this one is from Pocket Scents and it's called Vierge. So that means Virgin Island, and this fragrance I think is now discontinued. But I think if you do look at Pocket Scents website, out of the ones that are still in production, I would really recommend Purple Gourmands from the ones that I've tried there. They are a brand that does inspired by versions of different fragrances, but I think Purple Gourmand is one of their actual individual creations, and it's well worth checking out. So Îles Vierge is, as I've said, a dupe or an inspired by version of Creed's Virgin Island Water, but actually I think I prefer it to Virgin Island Water. So this just has that kind of zesty lime that I was always looking for in fragrances. I'm desperate to find a really zesty lime fragrance where the lime stays throughout the fragrance, and I just haven't found one yet. So this fragrance is just, that zesty lime with bergamot, but also with a creamy but fresh coconut and some musk. And the musk is a white musk, it's quite a clean musk. And there's also a drop of white rum here. It definitely does have a bit of an alcoholic feel. To me, this smells like a cocktail. It smells like you're having a cocktail on a tropical beach out of a coconut shell. That's what I really think about with this one. I really like the muskiness in this fragrance. I really like the coconut in this fragrance. I just find it very refreshing. I want to keep spraying it because I love the zesty lime opening. And I'm really impressed, actually. I didn't think that I would love this one quite as much as I do, but I've been wearing it a lot these last couple of weeks when the weather's not been quite so hot. But I think this one's really going to shine in the warmer weather. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this one. Îles Vierge by Pocket Scents. So the next fragrance is one from Maison Margiela, and this one's Bubble Bath. So this is a 10ml travel spray that was actually decanted for me by Em. She was very, very generous and gave me this 10ml sample. And I'm so pleased to have this because I've been absolutely loving it. So I wore this to work last week and I got a compliment instantly. As soon as I walked into the office, someone said, "Oh, you smell nice." And I guess, it smells of bubble baths, doesn't it? It's going to be something that's very clean smelling, something that's very easygoing. And I just really love the aldehydes and the coconut in this. I think it's just such a distinctive and really interesting combination. And I feel like this fragrance just really evokes what it's meant to be evoking. And I love it for that. So this fragrance, it is just the aldehydes. It's also the coconut, but it's more of a coconut soap, really, I would say, this fragrance. And the coconut soap is more of like an opaque coconut soap and more of a creamy soap, I think. Really, you can detect the lavender here, but it's quite subtle. I just think this one is just the best of the range, and I'm so pleased to have it. So thank you so much, Em. I think this one lasts quite a long time on skin as well, and it's actually pretty strong. You don't need many sprays of this. So that's Bubble Bath by Maison Margiela. So the next fragrance is Chanel's Coco Noir. So I am really a Chanel convert at the moment. I have really been enjoying Chanel fragrances, and I found myself reaching for them much more than I ever thought I would. I really didn't think that I was a Chanel kind of person. I remember absolutely hating number 5, and now I quite happily wear it. I also remember even hating Coco Mademoiselle, and I quite happily wear that one. And I was really on the lookout for Coco Mademoiselle Intense, but I ended up just getting this one because I just wanted to try it a bit more than just trying it in store. I found actually when I've been wearing this one, it sort of plays peekaboo a little bit. It sort of fades quite quickly and I think it's gone. And then I move a little bit and I smell it again. So I'm not sure whether I'm being a little bit nose blind to this one perhaps. This one does come across to me as very clean and very much more something that could be worn in the spring and the summer, whereas something like Coco would be an absolute no for me in the summertime. And I'm surprised really by that because of the name of this. There's nothing really noir about Coco Noir. I think this fragrance actually smells much closer to Coco Mademoiselle than it does to Coco. And I find that surprising as well. Really, this is quite a peachy fragrance to begin with, but it really settles down into a rose patchouli fragrance with a lot of musk really in the dry down. I really feel like this fragrance is one of the lighter Chanel fragrances that I've tried. This really lacks that kind of Chanel punch. And I think if you hate Chanel fragrances, this could be one to start with because it's just very much more gentle than the others. And it's something that's not as intrusive, I think, as a lot of Chanel fragrances can be. but it still does have the trademark Chanel points. It still has that kind of powdery musk. It still has that citrusy beginning. So yeah, I've been wearing this one to work. I've been really enjoying it. I think it's something that is an alternative to Coco for the spring and summer, and it's an alternative to Coco Mademoiselle when you just want something a little bit quieter. So that's Coco Noir. So the next fragrance is a little travel spray again. I've been really loving buying travel sprays because I've reached a point with my collection where I don't really want 100ml bottles anymore, and I'm really, really happy to have a travel spray of something, because it takes me so long to go through fragrances that I just don't want fragrances sitting there and going off in the meantime. So this one is Frederic Malle's Lipstick Rose, and I bought this because I tried it in store and I really loved the grapefruit in the opening. I thought it was really refreshing, really zingy and really bright, and I loved that aspect of this. Also, I just really liked that it was a rose dominant fragrance, but when I've bought this little travel spray, there's no grapefruit, and also it's very much more a violet dominant fragrance. And sometimes when violet is with rose and it's warm, I really struggle. And this is one of those warm, fuzzy violet fragrances. And I would contrast this with something like Insolence. To me, Insolence is a very different type of violet to this type of violet. This type of violet is something that I've smelt in other fragrances that I've ended up decluttering. So I'm really worried that this one might be going the same way. But I'm just shocked at how different this fragrance is to the one that I tried in store. But that just goes to show that maybe there's some variation in batches, or maybe there's just variation in my perception from having an actual fragrance in my hand to having something that I'm trying in store. I'm not sure what this is, but I can't say I've been loving it so far. This to me just smells quite old-fashioned, but I do get that kind of lipsticky feel from this. It is, you know, what it says on the tin, it is a lipstick, but I can't say that it's a lipstick rose, it's more of a lipstick violet. So yeah, this one, I'm not sure whether it'll stay or not. At the moment, I'm just letting it sit there for a while. I'll perhaps come back to this in autumn or in winter and see what I think again. But right now, this is just not me. So that's Lipstick Rose by Frederic Malle. So the next three fragrances were ones that I got in PR from a brand. So Sana Jardin contacted me, and they actually sent me Venus of Urbina and Revolution de la Fleur for a video of me testing their fragrances. I had 9 samples from them already, and I was just missing these 2 fragrances to complete the set of 11 so I could make the review video. But they also sent me this one. They sent me Tiger by Her Side, because I said to them that I had 2 different samples of Tiger by Her Side, and I wasn't sure which one was the current formulation, because I thought it had been reformulated, because they just were so different. One was really powdery and the other one really wasn't. And when I tried this, I realised that the official sample that I had, rather than the decanted sample, was much closer to that one. So I just used the official sample in the video rather than talking about this one. So Sana Jardin, I did clearly do a review video of all 11 of their fragrances. I'm going to link that video down below in case you do want to check it out. But long story short, I really enjoyed them, and it was just so refreshing to try a fragrance that wasn't chock full of ambroxan or cashmeran or Isoe Super. I just really enjoyed that aspect of those. But also I thought they were actually genuinely nice fragrances, and some of them were super friendly and other ones were a little bit more out there. And I enjoyed that kind of difference in how they've made their fragrances. I thought there was something for everybody. So yeah, Sana Jardin. So the final fragrance is one that I had been looking for several months, probably about the best part of about 6 to 9 months on eBay. I've been looking for this fragrance, and a couple of bottles have come up and I've never bought them. I've always been dithering, but I just have been trying my sample repeatedly that I got from M. And I just decided that I loved it too much to not own a bottle. So this one is Bouquet Encore by Perfumes. So this fragrance is just a very elegant, very sensual tuberose fragrance. It's a spicy tuberose fragrance, really. So this opens with a kind of earthy spiciness. It's kind of orangey feeling. It's an earthy, not hot, but definitely got a warmth to it, spiciness. There's also the tuberose, and the tuberose is very dense and very petally, but also quite creamy. It's not really a bubblegum tuberose, this. As this dries down, you get some vanilla coming in, but still with that kind of spicy tuberose and some musk as well. It's just a really elegant, sensuous fragrance, and it's just something that I just could not stop thinking about. and I just really wanted a bottle of. And I think, you know, full price, this is actually quite an expensive fragrance, but I managed to find one, as I've said, on eBay. So I paid less than half price for this, and I'm quite satisfied with that. But I still did blow my budget on this one a little bit. I think really this fragrance, if you haven't tried it, it's one to check out, because this is a very unusual situation with this fragrance, because me, Em, Lizzie, Rose and Jones, John, Scent of Snowdrops, we all own a bottle of this now. And that tells me something. That tells me that it's universally likeable as a fragrance. And I think if you haven't tried this, it's well worth trying to find a sample, because you might love it too. So I actually bought this one because I've started a new job, and I also bought it because I turned 40 this year and I wanted to celebrate. So that's Bouquet Encore by L'Orchestre Perfumes. So that's the final fragrance in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know which has been your favourite fragrance purchase of 2024 so far. And also, please let me know if you've tried any of the fragrances in this video. I'd be really interested to know what you think of them. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.